Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Welcome to this DirectLink Community Class where we'll be discussing some basic computer tips and tricks. So with me tonight is Amy Russ, also from the marketing team here at DirectLink. Amy's going to be helping to monitor the chat and answer any questions as they come in if I'm not able to get to them live here during the presentation. So all right, so DirectLink has actually offered these community classes for more than 20 years as your local cooperative provider. And we do these classes to support our members and to help you navigate new trends and technologies as they emerge. So we're super thankful for all your support, and we're very glad that you're here with us today. I saw another question come in real quick. On a Surface Pro 9, will you be covering that? I'm actually using a Surface right now. I'm using the Surface, I think this is the 10. I don't know exactly which one I'm on. I should know that, but I am using a Surface, and we're doing the demonstration on Windows 11 today. So this will apply to you, Catherine. Good question. Okay. All right, guys. So just a couple of things before we officially get into it. We've already been kind of using the chat so far, but if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat right here. And for anybody who hasn't seen that yet, there's a little toolbar on your screen that should show a chat function just like this. And if you don't see it, if you're on a laptop or a computer, just kind of wiggle your mouse around and it should pull the toolbar up either from the bottom or the top of the screen. Or if you're on a laptop or even a phone, just tap the screen with your finger and that toolbar should pop up where you can use it. Okay. And you may have seen that we are recording this class today. I just wanted everybody to know that I'm the only one that's being recorded. My screen here, nobody else's names or anything like that are being recorded. And we're doing that so that folks can go back and watch the recording of this class later if they would like. That's going to be up there on the link on the screen on directlink.coop/classes around this time next week. Okay. All right, so I just want to point out a few helpful resources here on the screen that you might consider bookmarking for later. So the first one is the Microsoft Online Forum, where you can find answers to questions related to Microsoft products and services and software. You can search for topics or questions that you might have, and good chances that someone has already answered it on that discussion forum. That's answers.microsoft.com. It's just a good resource that I actually find myself using fairly often. Also listed here is the DirectLink support page that we have up on the website. There's a variety of support information there to help troubleshoot any connectivity issues you might have with your connection, as well as other frequently asked questions for some other topics as well. That's a good resource. And then Amy is putting those links in the chat there for easy accessibility. Thank you, Amy. The next one here is our newsfeed page that we have on the DirectLink site. And this is a good resource because we post company updates and then helpful articles, scam alerts, things like that on that website as well. And I already mentioned the classes page. That's where we post information about past and upcoming classes, as well as recordings for the community classes that we do. Okay. All right. So does deciphering computer jargon ever feel like staring into the matrix code like this sometimes, right? Sometimes opening one menu screen leads to another and another and another before you eventually get to a place where you don't even really know what you're looking at or what you were looking for in the first place, right? We've all been there. So this class is really meant to just kind of be a basic approach to help you learn how to better use your computer, from shortcuts that minimize mouse clicks to setting a family photo album as your background, to keeping your software updated. And then just a reminder, I mentioned this previously, but I'm teaching this class and then doing the demonstrations today using a Microsoft Surface. It's a tablet, laptop kind of hybrid device, and it's running the newest version of the Windows operating system, Windows 11. So if you're not on Windows 11, that's okay. Some things might look a little different. Or be in a couple of different areas if you're on an earlier operating system like Windows 7 or Windows 10, and then on other non-Windows based devices. We had an in-person class this morning and we had some folks bring in Apple computers, and that's totally fine. A lot of the things we're going to talk about today will apply to Apple devices. They just look a little bit different, and like the keyboard buttons are a little bit different, things like that. All right. So this is our agenda for today. So if you have a question about anything that we're going to go over, feel free to put it in the chat and then we'll cover it. So we've got these 10 tips here that we are going to go ahead and get started on. The first one being keyboard shortcuts. This right here is a small list of some of the shortcuts that I personally use on a daily basis. There's many, many more out there available to use. And then the majority of these work across different types of programs and websites as well, whether you're in an email, maybe a text editing document like Word or even PowerPoint. So these will work across a variety of different devices. And what I'm actually going to do, I put a little handout resource up on the DirectLink webpage. So I'm just going to show you guys how to access that here real quick. So this is on the directlink.coop /classes page. And if you go into the classes page right here for today's class that we're in, about halfway down, there's a little link right here where you can download the keyboard shortcuts handout. And I'm actually going to copy this and I'm going to put it in our chat here so that folks can access that as they wish. So I just wanted to put that there just so you can sort of have something tangible to take away or even print out and have handy if you'd like. Okay. Look at me using my keyboard shortcuts to show all of my my different programs that I have open. We'll get into that. So let's talk about some of these, right? Okay, so I just want to mention that there are often many different ways to complete the same task when it comes to using your computer. And it usually just comes down to what's comfortable for you. So for me, I often do a lot of typing. So I actually prefer to use keystrokes to do things rather than having to take my right hand off my keyboard and go over to my mouse and click around, or if I'm on a laptop, remove my my hand and use the trackpad to move my mouse around. That's just my preference. But a lot of these things you can use your mouse clicks for as well, like copying and pasting text, which I'll show you in just a moment. But I just wanted to show you that this isn't the only way to do some of these things. These are just the keyboard shortcuts, which I personally love keyboard shortcuts and learning more about them. So I'm going to shift over to another document real quick, and we're just going to go over a few of these ones right here. Okay, so what I'm doing right here is I'm pressing the Windows key on my keyboard and then pressing the Tab button, holding down Windows, pressing Tab. And this actually shows me the different active programs that I have open. I'm still holding down the Windows button right now. And you can see I can just go ahead and click into a different one if I like, and then that pulls that up as my main program on the screen right there. Okay, so let's talk about some of these shortcuts. I've got a couple lines of text here. One thing that I can do, probably the most common keyboard shortcut, is Control Z. That's what's known as undo. Another way to think about that, if you're someone who likes to create little phrases to remember things, Control Z, zoinks, didn't mean to do that, right? So let's say I accidentally delete this or something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. I didn't mean to do that. All I gotta do is press Control Z and it undoes what I just did. Conversely, Control plus Y, think of Y as yes, I did mean to do that. Control Y is redo something that I just undid, okay? And then again, I can do these same things. I can do a lot of these keyboard shortcuts with my mouse. So next one up, I can do copy. So if I were to highlight this, here's an example of that. I can use my right click on my mouse to copy something, or I can just press Control C right there on my keyboard. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to paste this text using Control plus V. Think of V like Velcro, like you're sticking something somewhere else. Okay. Another simple tool that does pretty much the same thing is Control X, that is cut. And that is where I'm copying something, but I'm deleting it at the same time. So Control X, it's copied to my clipboard, but I've also deleted it. So it's still right there. Okay. And then with cut, the X looked like scissors. That's a little way to remember that. Another useful one is Control plus A. That selects everything in a document or an email or another text window of some sort. Control plus P brings up my print dialog option right here. If you have a connected printer at home and you're in a program that you need to print something, press Control plus P to bring it up. Another one that I use all the time, especially for articles online and reading longer documents, is Control plus F. That is the find function. And this works on a web browser and in a lot of other different programs as well. But you can see when I clicked that shortcut, it opens up the navigation tool here. And this is just what this looks like in Microsoft Word, but this function works the same across different platforms. But this is where I could search for a specific word or a phrase in a document if I needed to. So I'm just going to type in members, for example, and then it'll highlight the instances of where that search key appears in my document or on my web page. So Control F is a really great tool. And then one of the last ones here that we're going to mention is Control S. That is just to save whatever document you're working on. Nice little keyboard shortcut to do that. So again, a lot of these things you can just use your mouse for, but me personally, I like to just kind of keep my fingers on the keyboard and use little shortcuts if I can. All right, so I'm going to get back over to my presentation. I'm pressing the Windows key plus the Tab button. That's going to open up all of my currently used programs. I'm going to select back into the other one that I want. So a couple of other ones over here using the Windows key. So if I just want a quick shortcut to, I'm walking away from my desk or I need to put my computer, lock my computer real quick, hold down the Windows key, press L. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm in the middle of a presentation. If I were to press the Windows key plus E, that's going to open up my File Explorer right here. And we'll talk more about the File Explorer in just a moment, but I open this thing 1,000 times a day, so it's nice to have a little keyboard shortcut for it. Pressing the Windows key plus I brings me right into my settings. And then there's a couple of keyboard shortcuts for taking screenshots as well. And we're actually going to have a separate slide later talking more about screenshots and screen recordings, but they're listed here on that on this screen as well as in that handout PDF that I put in the chat as well. So those are just some handy keyboard shortcuts that I use on a daily basis. There's plenty more out there, but this sort of gives you an introduction to the world of keyboard shortcuts if you didn't know them quite yet. There's many more out there, and I encourage you to check them out for productivity and speed. Okay. All right, so now we're going to jump into our settings and go over some of the main areas there. All right, so remember, we can use our keyboard shortcut, Windows key plus I to get in here. Okay, and I am actually going to change up from dark mode right now. I was changing up some settings earlier. I'm just going to change from dark mode to make it a little bit easier to see. There we go. That should hopefully be a little bit easier for folks to see. Okay. Let's talk about some of the different areas here in settings to kind of pay attention to and to help you adjust some of these main things you might be looking for. So on the left side over here, I've got the different areas of my settings that I can adjust. And then inside each of these ones, there's going to be even more options for that specific section that I can adjust. So for system right here, let's talk about display. So for me right now, I'm actually running two different monitors. You might see me looking at one with my camera and the other one, which I'm actually using to show the demonstration on. So I could, if I have multiple monitors connected, I could rearrange which one is the primary. And then I can extend these displays or duplicate them. So I have it extended. That means I have one monitor that shows one thing, and I'm basically just extending it and making it one extra monitor. So I can move my mouse from one over to the other. If for some reason I didn't want that, I could duplicate these displays and then I could just have the same thing happening on each monitor at a time. From here, I can also adjust my brightness, but keep in mind that if you're on a laptop or another kind of mobile device, there's often keys on your keyboard that you can adjust brightness with, but this is one way to do it as well. The night light tool right here, this actually, if I were to turn it on, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see this because I'm sharing on a different screen than my main device here. But this, if you turn it on, actually brings in more of like a yellow background from your screen rather than a blue light as the background. And this is actually a little bit easier on the eyes. So studies have shown that actually using warmer colors and that yellow kind of tint in the background rather than blue light, there's been some studies that have shown if you're using devices towards bedtime or in the evening, that those warmer colors are a little bit easier on your eyes, and it can encourage you to get to sleep and have better sleep than the blue light does. Those studies have shown that if we have really bright lights kind of in our eyes from screens, it can actually make it harder to get to sleep. So I personally, when I have my phone or any other devices, I like to put it in dark mode and kind of dim the brightness a little bit before bed. Okay. All right. So also here, I want to talk about using the scale function right here. Um, and this is where you can actually adjust the text size for the different programs that you're using on your computer. So right here, it's automatically set at 100%, so just standard text size. But if you need your text across your various platforms, different devices, or sorry, excuse me, programs, things like that, you can adjust it overall right here just by sliding this. And you see the preview right above, the words are getting bigger as I slide it. So if I slide it right here, this is just basically saying that any text that appears on my screen is going to be 170% larger than normal. So I know some folks like to have bigger text on their screen, easier to see. This is a good way to adjust that right here. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the where are we here? We are going to system and then we're going to power and battery. This is where you can adjust a couple of different settings when it comes to putting it in power save mode or even what you want your screen to do when you've been inactive for a little while. So right here in screen and sleep, I have mine set to go to sleep after 5 minutes of inactivity when I'm on battery power, and after 10 minutes if my device is plugged in. So if my machine is just sitting here, I'm not touching it. This is saying that after 10 minutes, it's going to go to sleep. And that's just to save battery, to preserve your screen life, all that good stuff. So that's where you can adjust this. Okay. In battery saver mode here, you can actually tell this to turn on when your device reaches a certain percentage, or you can turn it on manually. I don't need to because I'm plugged into power right now. But this is kind of a good setting to keep in mind. When you turn on battery saver mode, it dims your brightness and it kind of slows down some background processes to try and preserve as much battery life as possible. So this one, I think the default is 20%, but you can change that if you'd like as well. Okay, let's go back to system and let's talk about storage here. This is where you can take a look at how much storage is used up and how much is available on your local device. So just as an example, my hard drive right here, that's what the C drive is. I have 470 gigabytes of total storage on my hard drive, and I've got a good amount free. I've got 387 gigs free right here. And then this is just a good tool to use if maybe you're getting notifications that say your computer's running out of space or something like that. You can go in here and see where things are being held. So just as an example, if you look in here and it shows that you've got a ton of storage being used up in mail, you might consider going into your email and deleting any messages that you don't need, or setting some archive options to automatically archive messages that are 5 years old or something like that. So this is a good tool where you can go in here and check out your storage. And Windows even has some tools that kind of help you automatically free up some space and delete old temporary work files and things like that just to free up some space. So and I have that on right here. Okay, let's jump into the Bluetooth and devices settings right here. I like to use Bluetooth earbuds, and this is where I would connect those new devices right there. Just going to click the big Add Device button, and then this is assuming that I have another device nearby that I could pair. So I could add a Bluetooth device or even some other devices right here, and it'll help walk you through that as well. If you also have a printer or a scanner at home, this is where you would set up that device. And if I were to click on Add Device right there, it would walk me through that setup process as well. So this is how you manage your Bluetooth and other connected devices that are connected to your computer. Okay, let's talk about network and internet, our next piece right here. So this is where you can connect to a network or manage your network settings. I'm currently connected to a home network right now. And this is where, if I take my laptop somewhere else, I'm at the airport, a friend's house, whatever, this is where I could go to connect, to show available networks and to connect to those. So if I click into Wi-Fi right here, I'm going to show available networks, and it looks like, yep, I've got neighbors around me, so I can see, other networks that are available right here. Okay. So that's network and internet right there. Let's talk about our apps section right here. So when we say apps, we're meaning the programs that are installed on my computer. So like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, things like that. Essentially the same thing as the apps that are on your smartphone, right? So if I go to my installed apps page right here, this is just going to give me an alphabetical list of all of the apps that I currently have installed on my machine, how much space they take up in my machine, and all that good stuff. So if you ever need to maybe make room or delete old programs that you don't need anymore, you can go over here to these little ellipses button next to each one, just click the uninstall button, and that's all it takes. Um, so this is where you would go to manage your installed apps if you ever need to, and then adjust any settings for them, like notifications and things like that. All right. Let's also talk about the accounts area right here. So this is where you would sign into, like on a Microsoft device, you would sign into your Microsoft account. And if you have an Outlook email or even another email that you like using, you can, you can sign into that account right here. And in the email and accounts section right here, I can add multiple accounts if I would like. So say I have multiple email accounts and I want to manage those all on one device. I can add that from right here as well. And then that will appear as an option for me to manage with the Mail app on my computer. Okay. This is also my work account right here. So we have our cloud storage for work linked to our accounts, and we're going to get into cloud storage in a little bit as well. But I just wanted to point out the accounts screen right there. Okay. Another thing just to mention is the sign in options button right here. This is where you can adjust how you sign in to your machine. So some devices, depending on the make and model and what year it is, have different options to sign in, like a password or a PIN, fingerprint, or even facial recognition. Like my device has a front-facing camera, so it actually is set up with what's called Windows Hello, and this is just the facial recognition software that makes it really easy to sign in. So whenever I wake up my machine, it automatically just recognizes me and opens up my computer and unlocks it for me. But this is where you can adjust those different settings as well if you'd like. Okay, let's get back. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Windows key plus tab, to open up my available programs here. We're going to go back into settings. We're going to talk about some personalization options because I like to personalize my device. Namely, we'll talk about desktop screen background, different colors, dark and light mode, the lock screen, and customizing the start screen as well. So let's press Windows plus I and get back to our settings. We're going to go into personalization right here. Okay. And right here, the top one in background, this is where I could customize my background for my desktop, right? So if I want to, I can actually choose a couple of different options. I can do a single picture for my background if I want, or I can even do a slideshow from a photo album of my choosing. So if I choose slideshow right here, I can then choose maybe an album that's on my computer with family photos or something like that, and it'll cycle through those photos. And I can even tell it how often I want it to cycle through those photos, from 1 minute up to every day. So it's kind of a nice little option to personalize your computer right here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the colors area right here. I actually went into this earlier. That's how I changed my screen from dark mode to light mode. So I personally like dark mode. I know it's a little bit more difficult to see sometimes, but especially at nighttime, I like having these darker colors. It changes the text to white just because it really takes a lot of stress off your eyes, and it can really save your battery life on your devices too, whether it's your phone or your laptop. So, but it's all up to you, whichever one you prefer. This is how you would change that. You can also go down here and pick your favorite accent color, and this is where it would show up in like the top header of different programs that are open and things like that. So these are just some colors and different things that you can adjust in the personalization area. Okay. Also here, you can personalize what shows up in your lock screen. So this is just an example of what the lock screen might look like. And you can personalize what you want to show up right here. You can have a picture of your choosing, and also do a slideshow. I like having Windows Spotlight right here. because that just kind of gives me information from a couple different areas. Like you can see, I have my calendar set up. So if I have an upcoming appointment, my lock screen would show me, hey, you've got a meeting at this time. But you can also tell it to show you the weather or any unread messages or alerts that you might have as well on your lock screen. So with me though, the face recognition that unlocks it, I almost don't even have enough time to look at anything on my lock screen, because as soon as I open up my lock screen, my facial recognition sees me and then it unlocks my computer and takes me right to my desktop. So whatever your preferences are, it's sort of a double-edged sword, but you want to get actually into your computer when you're ready to use it. So it's nice to be able to unlock it that quickly. Okay. And then let's talk about the start menu right here. So the start menu, if I just press the Windows key, is going to open up. Oh, and it's on my other screen. That's okay. Right here. Oh, there we go. So this is my start menu. It's just when I use the keyboard shortcut, it opens up on my other screen just because that's my primary one, but I can still do it right here. So this right here, this is your start menu. And you can customize what you want to show up right here. So I have a couple programs here pinned, and I can adjust what shows up right there. It also shows me some recommended based on what I've been doing recently, okay? But right here, I can adjust what I want this to look like. Maybe I want more pins, so devices like this. I would maybe select this option, and you can see it'll give me a lot more rows to fit in more pins. Or if I want more recommendations from like recently accessed programs or files, I might choose this one. And I can toggle these different things on or off right here to customize them as well. Okay, so that is the personalization area. Let's hop back into our presentations. I'm going to press Windows key plus tab. We're going to go here. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is saving, organizing, and finding your files, right? Sometimes we can get lost in all of our different file folders that we have, and it can sometimes be difficult to find things. So we'll talk about the different areas for where you can do that. So what I'm going to do is open up. I'm actually going to, I'm going to minimize this. Bear with me here so I can get back to, actually, I don't even need to do this. We're going to press Windows key plus E. That's my keyboard shortcut to get into my file explorer right here. So think of this like your filing cabinet, right? It's your little manila folder right here. And this is where you can access your different files. So we actually have cloud storage that is linked to my machine here, so I can access files that are stored in the cloud as opposed to stored locally on my device. We're going to talk more about that right after this. I want to talk about files that are stored locally on your machine. So generally, anything that's on your desktop or in your downloads folder, those are things that are stored locally on your device. And when I say that, I mean that the only copy of that file is on your computer. It's on your physical device. So one downside to this, really the main downside to this, is if your device ever gets lost or broken, then that's the only copy of that file that you have. And with that, that's where you would want to consider integrating cloud storage so that you can have copies of your files available to access in the cloud if you ever need them, right? And again, we'll get into that in a little bit. So what I can do also from here, I can use the little search bar in the top right, and I can type in a file that I might be looking for, right? So if I were to just type in DirectLink Community Class, I bet you one of the first ones it shows me. Oh, it's because I'm in my home right here. So what we're doing, we're telling it, okay, we're in this home area. So what I'm looking for isn't in any of these folders right here. So that's why nothing's popping up. But if I were to go to maybe my cloud storage here, because I know that's where that's kept, I would be able to find it. If I have a bunch of stuff on my desktop and I want to search for it, I could even just type in like Zoom, just as an example, which we're using right now. I have a shortcut to Zoom on my desktop. So that'll refine my results, and I can find files and folders and things like that as well. Okay. You can also do this from this little area down here at the bottom of my screen. This is my taskbar again. I can type in something that I want to search for right here, And this is a really nice tool because let's say I'm typing in DirectLink just as an example. I've got these little tabs up at the top where I can choose where I want my device to search for this. So just as an example, I can tell it to search in documents, and it's going to give me some recommendations. These are devices, or sorry, documents that I've been using recently. So that's why they're showing up right here. But I can also search for something just on the web here real quick as well. So you can see that's our homepage for right there. So the little search bar right next to your start button right here is a great way if you're looking for a file or a folder or a program. Just type it in right there, and then you'll get some results that pop up. Okay. All right. Next, let's dive in a little bit about using cloud-based file storage, right? I mentioned that this is how you can keep documents, files, photos, videos essentially stored on multiple computers around the world. That's essentially what the cloud is there's server facilities with big rows of computers, and those are essentially the cloud. So just as an example, um, I have lots of files stored in the cloud. And if I needed to, I could access a different computer connected to the internet on the other side of the world, sign into my account, and I can access my files from there, right? Same thing with your phone. If anybody has an iPhone as well as an Apple device, those two devices can talk to each other through the cloud. And then the same is the same case is true with Android devices and other things as well. So when it comes to choosing which one to use, my advice would be to use the one that integrates the best across your devices, or of course, the one that you like the best. So if you're someone who's got a Mac computer and an iPhone, it makes the most sense to go with Apple iCloud because that's naturally what's built into those and what integrates across them. Um, and then you can see that each of these offers some free storage. Both Microsoft and Apple offer 5 GB of free cloud storage with a free account. Google Drive, however, it's kind of nice because they offer 15 GB of free storage. So if you have a Gmail email address, you automatically have access to Google Drive. It's just drive.google.com. Same thing with Apple. If you have an iCloud email, you have access to this. And if you have a outlook.com email, you automatically have access to Microsoft OneDrive. One other thing I wanted to bring up, it's pretty great if you have Prime, is you have access to unlimited photo storage in Amazon Photos if you have a Prime membership. So you have unlimited cloud storage for full resolution photos, which is fantastic. The only really downside is you only have 5 GB of storage for videos, but you can purchase more storage with that if you need to. But it's a really great tool if you already have a Prime membership. You've already got unlimited photo storage in the cloud as well on there. Me personally, my situation, we use OneDrive. We use Microsoft OneDrive here at work, and I like using OneDrive personally as well because it integrates the best with File Explorer. So again, I'm going to press Windows E to bring up my File Explorer. So this right here, this is our OneDrive that we have our various work documents shared across. So again, I can access these on multiple computers anywhere that I'm connected to the internet. Okay, so that's why the cloud is nice because we're creating a single file, but it's not stored locally on one device. So in case I lose it or it gets broken or something like that, those files still exist. They're not tied to my one computer. Okay. All right. Okay. Next tip I wanted to mention is that keeping your device up to date is one of the easiest things really that you can do to make sure it's running smoothly and to protect yourself from any vulnerabilities in any outdated security patches that may have been addressed in future updates. There have actually been cases where folks have been victims of malware or viruses, and they made their way onto the device because the software was outdated and that malware was actually able to target holes in this security that had been addressed in a future software patch. So it's really important to keep your software as up to date as you can on your machine. So let's jump back into our settings real quick, and I'll show you where to access this. It's in the bottom left right here where it says Windows Update. And actually, our organization manages this device. My IT team manages this device. So I actually get automatic updates that usually happen overnight. So those critical security patches, those are just going to automatically happen overnight. But if you need to, you can ever go in here. You can go in here and just click on the check for updates button, and then that'll load in any updates that you can install yourself. Because there's also optional updates for different drivers on your machine. Just as an example, Bluetooth technology is constantly changing and things like that. So there's often different sort of optional updates that come through. I would recommend just installing those as well. Sometimes they don't come through with the automatic updates though, so you just have to manually do that. And sometimes you'll run a software update and it'll require you to restart your computer in order to implement those updates as well. So this is where you can manage your updates. Maybe after the class, I would recommend going into Windows Update and just doing a check here. And if there's an update available and you don't need your computer, maybe sometimes these can take a little while. I would make sure that you're updated. And just to be clear here, when I say we're updating our software, we're not moving from Windows 10 to Windows 11, just as an example. That is an operating system update. Okay. So anybody who might be running an earlier version of Windows, Windows 11 is actually available for free. So if you wanted to, you could update your operating system to Windows 11. But what we're talking about in this area right here, these are updates to your system, security patches, things like that. So I would strongly recommend always checking for updates or even just turning on automatic updates. You can do that through the advanced options tab right here. It's automatically set up for me since this is a device that's handled by my work, so I can't turn that off. And that's a good thing. It should be on. Okay. Let's go back into our presentation real quick and move on to our next slide. All right, let's talk about internet browsers a little bit. So an internet browser is a program that can be used to surf or browse, if you will, the web. So a browser is different from an operating system. We hear this sometimes, or it gets confused sometimes. An operating system is the interface that your computer or your device uses to just function. So just as an example, Microsoft Windows, Apple Mac OS, or Linux, just as an example. So there's Windows 7, 10, 11, and then on Apple, you have Mac OS, Monterey, Ventura, and Sonoma are the latest three. They like to name theirs after, I think they were naming them after various Sierra Nevada peaks for a while. And then I think they're naming them after counties, bays. I know Monterey Bay and Sonoma County. I'm not sure if Ventura is a county as well, but that's their little naming convention that they have going on. So we're talking about internet browsers. It really just depends on which one that you like. On a Windows machine, the one that's going to automatically come with the device installed is Microsoft Edge. This is formerly known as Internet Explorer, which was essentially the first internet browser that was available back when Windows first launched. The most popular browser really in the world right now is Google Chrome. They have about 60-ish% of all users are using Google Chrome. And all of these, really function pretty similarly. It just sort of depends on your preferences and which ones that you like a little bit better. Personally, I kind of like Microsoft Edge the best. I think it runs a little bit smoother, and I noticed that it actually uses a little bit less processing power on my computer than Chrome does. Edge does a really good job of sort of putting some background processes or any tab that you might have open. It can put those to sleep and then wake them up when you go back to them. And that results in using a little bit less processing power, which is always important. And one thing I really like about Edge, I'm going to hop into an example that I have up right now. So I'm going to press my Windows key plus tab. I just want to show you guys one of my kind of favorite functions. I was reading an article earlier about the Oregon Ducks Colorado game coming up this weekend. But I like to read blog articles and things like that. And I like to use this tool up here called the Immersive Reader. This shows up at the top of my search bar right here on the right side. And this is a nice tool because you can see I've got these sidebars and things like that. But if I click on this, it focuses everything into my one, exactly what I want to read. It eliminates anything that might be on the side of the screen, even any ads or separate kind of article callouts. And this is really great if you're somebody who likes to read the news on your maybe a tablet or something like that. You can use immersive reader mode here to just focus on that article. That's one of my favorite features of Edge. And if I click out of it, you can see that it pops back into the regular view. This is the OPB website. Okay. All right. Let's get back to our presentation here. Okay. And then, of course, we have, these are just a few of the internet browsers that are available. Safari here is the one that's built into Apple devices if you have a Mac or an iPhone. But you can still use Google Chrome and other browsers on those devices as well. Again, it's really just your preference on which one you like. Some folks have become really accustomed to using Edge or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. So that's just kind of what they use, but it's up to you. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about how to take screenshots and even record your screen. So when I say take a screenshot, I mean we are taking a picture of something that is on our screen. You can do this on your phone. You can do this on your laptop, a couple different kinds of ways to do this. You might do this, maybe you're reading an article and you want to send a snippet to somebody, or maybe you want to send a picture of an email to somebody, something like that. I use this pretty frequently. I help write kind of some of our scam articles. So if I receive a scam email, I like to take a picture of it and then maybe put an article up on our website and say, hey, watch out for something that looks like this. So I did that by taking a screenshot of that article. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. There is the snipping tool app that is actually built into Windows devices. It's these little scissors right here. You can, again, use your little search bar to find that if you need to. But there's also keyboard shortcuts, of course, and I like to use keyboard shortcuts. So let's go and kind of show you guys what this looks like. So I'm just going to kind of get back here to this example. So the really easy way to get into the screenshot tool is holding down Windows, Shift, and then pressing S. And that is going to open up a little dialog where I can actually draw a rectangle on my screen as big or as small as I want. And then that's going to take a picture of that rectangular area right there. You might be asking, okay, well, where did it go? So there's actually an area that screenshots are automatically saved on your machine. So if I press Windows plus E to open up my file explorer and I go into my pictures right here, there is automatically a folder called screenshots right here where those are kept. So you can go in here and then find your most recent screenshot, rename it, move it somewhere else, share it, but that's where they're automatically put when you take one. You can also use the print screen button that's on your keyboard as well. Mine is abbreviated. It says PRTSCR. Depends on how big the keys are on your keyboard. But if I were to just press the print screen button, that does the exact same thing where I can draw a rectangular box and then take a snip that way. I can also hold down the Windows key and then press print screen. And that actually takes a screenshot of everything that's on my screen, my full screen. And just a little note, I have 2 monitors running right now. So if I use that function I just did, it's actually going to take a screenshot of both screens at the same time and sort of make them a wider horizontal image. So that's why maybe using the rectangular tool is a little bit better. Also in Windows 11, you can actually, this is the snipping tool right here. Let me move this over onto my other screen. There it is. So in Windows 11, this unfortunately wasn't available on Windows 10, but you can actually take recordings of your screen as well with this little video camera icon right here. So if I highlight this with my mouse, I'm just clicking on it to select it, and then I can press new right here. Then I can do the same thing. I can drag my mouse across, create an area on the screen, and I can create a recording of my screen as well. Might be a good option. Maybe you're teaching someone how to do something on your computer and you want to record to show your mouse clicks and how you're navigating and things like that. So love the snipping tool. You can take screenshots and then manage those how you wish as well. Okay, let's talk about the task manager. So the task manager is sort of like your energy control center, where you can see what apps and programs you have running, and those things, those that have things kind of going on in the background as well. So if you've ever noticed, maybe your computer's fan starts running fairly frequently or loudly, or things are moving a little bit more slowly on your machine than they should be, I would encourage you to pop into the task manager here and then just take a look at what's going on. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to press Control plus Shift plus Escape to open the task manager. Here we go. Oh, I pressed the Windows key on by mistake. There we go. I'm going to drag it onto my screen here. So this is the task manager where I can see what apps and processes are open and what's going on my machine right now. So right here, I've actually got a couple different things I can see up at the top. The CPU right here, this is your machine's processor utilization. So this is essentially telling me, okay, I'm on Zoom right now. It's taking up about 10% or so of my computer's total processing power. So this is good to keep in mind because maybe you open this and you notice, oh my goodness, there's one program that's just taken up all of my processing power. It's really being an energy vampire right now. You could then go in and highlight it just like this. So I just clicked on it right there. You can hopefully see this little gray bar that's just showing that that's highlighted. So I clicked on this and I could choose End Task. And this is a nice tool too to use if any programs ever stop responding or they start bugging out or they just stop working altogether. That happens sometimes. Go into your task manager here and you can manually tell that program to shut down. Because sometimes if programs stop responding for whatever reason, sometimes even clicking the X button doesn't work to close it. But if you go in here, choose the task, and then click End Task, that will end it manually for you. So this is just a good area to take a look and make sure that there's nothing weird going on. There's no red alerts going on, and just making sure that your computer is optimized and being used as it should. Okay. All right. So to sort of finish up the class, I wanted to give a couple of just kind of general best practices for using your computer. So number one here, sleep versus shut down. Which one should I do? So putting a device in sleep mode turns off the display and then puts the hard drive in sort of a park mode. That prevents damage to the hard drive, and it can actually lets you pick up right where you left off. You're just waking your computer up from sleep. This is a great tool if you're going to be coming right back to it. And honestly, with some older computers, it was sometimes better to put it to sleep rather than shut it all the way down because computers used to take a really long time to turn on. And some of them still do, but with newer devices, they turn on and off pretty quickly. So I actually like to shut down my machine at the end of the day and then start it up fresh the next day. So normal shutdowns and startups on a regular basis allow your device to perform self-tests, clear out any background processes that might be stuck or malfunctioning, and basically just refresh everything that's going on. We know that still one of the best ways to fix many tech-related problems is to turn it off and then turn it back on again. And that's still true to this day. Okay. Another tip I would just recommend is try to keep your files organized. Maybe come up with a naming convention that you like to use that you could use across your different files that makes them easier to search for and a lot easier to find. So I know with a lot of the files that I keep, I like to put the date first and then maybe the project name, and then a short little description in there so I can easily search for any of those items if I need to. So I would recommend trying to keep your files organized. One thing I did want to jump into a little bit is customizing the taskbar. I've used this a little bit so far right here, but that's this right here at the bottom of the screen. So I just kind of want to talk about customizing the taskbar really quick because it really makes life easier for a lot of things. Whoops. Let's get back just into this just so I can show you the taskbar here. So down here, you can see that I've got a couple different programs pinned down here. Actually, don't think I need this up. It's disappearing on me when I get there. There we go. Okay. So I can actually choose what shows up down here if I want to. So just as an example, if I open the start menu and I want to maybe have calendar right here pinned to my taskbar, I'm going to right click and there's a little button right here that says pin to taskbar. And if I do that, it shows up right down there. And with these, I can hold down and drag them and organize them in whatever fashion that I would like. And one of my absolute favorite things about the taskbar is something called jump lists. If I were to right click on one of these icons, you'll see that I have a couple of different options here. Get a good one right here. Yeah, so like this one right here, it shows me my recent files that I've been working on. So all I have to, rather than going into my file explorer here and then searching for a folder or trying to find a folder, something like that, if I know it's in this with this program or something that I've worked on recently, I can just right click right on it, and then it'll show me different ones that I've got going on right here. So just as an example, I can also pin these, which is really cool. This little pin button, and that's going to keep that program automatically up at the top of my jump list right here. So anytime I right click on that program, if I need access to that particular file, it's right there pinned to the top. I really like using jump lists to make it easier to get into and out of files. Okay, enough of Deion Sanders in Colorado. Go Ducks. Okay. Another tip here, try to empty your recycling bin every now and then. When we delete programs, they automatically go into our recycling bin. And it can actually be pretty easy to forget to empty that every now and then because files will build up as you continue to delete them. And those are just old files that are taking up space on your machine as well. And I would also recommend to go into your downloads folder. Because anytime you download a file off of the internet or save something from your email, it'll go automatically into your downloads folder right here. And I've seen downloads folders that are years and years and years of files that are sitting in there that need to be organized somewhere else or just deleted altogether. So if you have a ton of files in your recycle bin or in your downloads right here, consider just auditing that and then deleting those if you don't need them anymore. You might find that your computer runs a little bit smoother. Okay. And then really my last tip, and one of the most important tips that there is, don't click on suspicious links. It tis the season, or we're getting into the season right now, where scammers are picking up their efforts to try and get personal information or payment information from folks. We're going to be doing more online shopping for the holidays. More packages are being delivered soon. More charities are being donated to around the holidays, and scammers use this opportunity to try and find a window to get access to your personal information. If you ever receive a text message or an email that seems suspicious, the language is weird, you don't know who it's from, you weren't expecting it, and they're asking you to verify your information, and all you gotta do is click this button right here and enter your password. Don't do it. Don't click on that sort of stuff. Reputable companies and real organizations, they don't communicate that way. They don't send you an email and say, we need you to confirm your account information. Click this button to type in your password. That's not how real organizations operate. That is a scam that's trying to get you to give up your personal information. So I just wanted to leave this tip as sort of the last one. As you're exploring, doing different things with your computer, you guys are all pros now, but I would encourage you maybe to try and learn more on your own if you'd like. So just be wary and be a skeptic in a way, right? Something sounds too good to be true or it sounds suspicious, it probably is. So just be careful what you do out there. Okay. All right. That does it for our class today. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and joining me. I hope you learned at least one thing tonight. If you have any additional questions or comments, please feel free to send us an email at hereforyou@directlink.coop. Well, all right, everybody. Again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope everybody has a great rest of the night, great weekend, happy fall. Autumn officially starts this Saturday, so I know I'm looking forward to getting into the fall weather and spooky season and all that good stuff. So, all right, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you, and have a good rest of the night. Thanks. Bye.